Alright. I'm also eating my dinner at the same time, so. Give me 1 second to get the game up. And then we're gonna go ahead and continue on with this bonus scream. Why? I actually have no idea how much more is left. So the scream may or may not be shit, can't think. I'm not sure how much more will be left in the DLC. So it may or may not be another hour and some change. It may not be. I actually don't know. I didn't look up anything. I'm completely winking it. So this is all new to me. Alexa, turn lights red. I got me some red beans and rice. I got me some matcha. It's cold matcha though. Yeah, I got me some matcha. I got my dimmer. And now we finna relax. And I guess I'll turn the game music up a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Hold on. Just a little bit.
Self-voicing enabled. Baxter, the couple has arranged a special dance between themselves and the parents of the bride and groom. Your eyes met Cove's aquamarine ones as you instinctively glanced towards each other. Your expressions brightened before you stepped apart, ready for the event.
Oh, yeah.
Cove's parents came over. Kyra was clearly excited, hurrying to join you, while Cliff loitered bashfully half a step behind her. Once they were beside you, Cliff held out his arm. You accepted, slipping your hand through as you offered your other arm to Kyra. She took it immediately. The three of you kept a spot in the center of the dance space at the front of the reception area. In position, ready for the music to start, you had a chance to really notice their expressions. Both of them looked proud, but you could see that there were hints of tears threatening to fall. As the music began, Cliff released you so that Kyra could have the first dance. You flowed and swayed along to the tune. Kyra spoke up gently, her words only audible to you. Kyra, I really am grateful that we were able to meet. You're an amazing person, Sage.
Aww. Thanks, mom number 3.
You smiled at her, at a loss for how else to respond to such sweet praise. But it was soon Cliff's turn. Kyra handed you off to him and the two of you got into the swing of things together. Once you'd fallen into an easy rhythm, he had his own thoughts to share. Cliff, I know I've relied on you a lot over the years. That was one way of putting it. You smiled wryly, tempted to tease him, but decided to let him keep going without challenge. Cliff, with everything we've been through together, it made it feel like we were kind of a team. So, well, I'm just trying to say that I'm glad that you're officially part of the family. The unexpected compliment struck you like a bullseye to your heart. Choked up, you only nodded by way of a response, but you could tell Cliff got the message by the way he beamed at you. You truly did love both Cove's parents, and it meant a lot to you that they were both able to be there on this day. As you turned on the dance floor, you caught sight of Cove dancing hand in hand with your parents. Cove's brow was furrowed in concentration as he very carefully took each step.
That's so cute.
Despite his obvious nerves, your moms were elated, and seemed to be encouraging him. The sight of it cheered you as you moved back towards Cliff and Kyra. Cliff made to bow out at that point, intending to make way for you to dance with Kyra again, but she had other plans. She grabbed his hand, and yours, and you danced together as a group. After a little while, she released Cliff's hand and you danced with her one-on-one again.
I can see where, fuck. Oh my gosh, stray piece of rice. I can see where Cove gets these tiny quirks that he has now. Because it seems like Cliff is a social butterfly, but he's not too good under like direct pressure or a lot of attention, really. Which I think is pretty cute. Because Cove is literally the same way.
Before long, you'd swapped back to dancing with Cliff. You took turns dancing with them both individually, as well as dancing as a group, changing it up often so that no one was left out in the cold for long. But eventually the song came to an end, bringing the dance to a close. Cliff clapped you on the back. Cliff, that was a heck of a time. Kyra, who hadn't released you once the music had finished, still had one arm hooked around you and was clutching your wrist with her other hand. She nodded fervently. Kyra, absolutely. This has been a marvelous evening. You grinned at them, delighted that they were enjoying themselves. Sage, thanks. But I still expect to see you both on the dance floor later. Don't think this gets you off the hook.
Yeah, Cliff.
Cove, flanked by your moms on either side, came over to rejoin you. Their spirits were high, and you had no doubt that they'd enjoyed themselves just as much as you and Cove's parents had done, though Cove still looked a little flustered.
They were probably gassing him up. I didn't know it.
You're good.
Baxter, that was wonderful. Bravo.
You're ruining the moment. Why are you speaking?
Baxter's voice rang out through the speakers once more.
New piece of rice. Oh my god. Alright, I'm good.
Baxter, we are now opening up the dance floor. You are all warmly invited to come up and join the family for dancing. With that announcement, the jazz music got turned up, enticing people to come forward and enjoy themselves. The dance floor bustled with more and more attendees and, over in the seating area, family and friends were catching up over animated conversations.
I want to dance with Derek.
Satisfied that people were having a good time, you decided to.
Oh, don't make me choose. Damn. I mean, we had our dance. Doesn't mean that we can't dance again, though. I don't know. I don't know what I just bit into, but it was sour. Oh, is that a bit of onion? Bro, I think that was an onion. is there a fucking onion in my beans? What?
Dance with every.
Hold on.
Sage Kamajo. Over. Saves. Over. Dance more with just Cove.
Let me see.
The moment you'd been waiting for had arrived at last. Finally, you could dance with Cove without feeling the weight of countless eyes on you. There were people who cared about you all around, but you didn't feel any guilt over your choice to focus on your special someone. After all, if there was any day where your friends and family would understand you prioritizing time with him over them, it would be your wedding.
Yeah.
You seized his hand and pulled him to the dance floor. Cove was just as excited as you and matched your pace easily. The merrymaking continued right up until it was time for dinner to be served. All the action must have helped them to work up an appetite, as the guests complied readily. They quickly filed back to their tables, ready for a delicious meal as soon as it was announced. Sage Kamajo, load this file, load, go, dance with everyone. You happily shimmed into the crowd, ready to make the most of the occasion. It wasn't often that you got to gather up the people most important to you like this, and even rarer for it to come with good music and the opportunity to dance. Rotating partners for each dance meant that you could spend time with various guests one-on-one. You danced with Derek, and with Liz, gliding around on the floor along to the music. You continued to spend time with the whole bunch for song after song. But, of course, you made sure to save some dances for your new husband, too.
Yay.
The merrymaking continued right up until it was time for dinner to be served. All the action must have helped them to work up an appetite, as the guests complied readily. You settled right into your seat at the head table. Cove sat up in his own chair excitedly, reaching over for the napkin-wrapped silverware in preparation. He was ready for dinner.
Honestly, I kind of like the fact that I danced with everyone and I still danced with Cove too. Sorry, I was rubbing my eyes.
A waitress clad in black from top to bottom came to stand across from you. She had a frosty pitcher of water in her hands.
Water. Nah, let me get that right.
While setting that down at a spot on the tabletop between you and Cove, she spoke out in a friendly tone. "Server, can I get you anything else to drink?"
Let me get some drink.
"Cove, could I have some orange juice? Please."
Orange juice. You know what? This man do love his fruit juices, so I ain't even gonna make fun of him. I ain't even gonna tease. This is how he got so fucking fine. This man he be drinking his skincare. Look at him. He's beautiful.
It'd be nice to have one of our mixed cocktail options.
Yeah.
Server, I've got it. I'll get that right to you. You both thanked her as she spun on her heels and made a beeline to the drink counter. At that same time, more servers began pouring into the space coming from the opposite direction. They were spreading out between the tables collecting orders from the rest of the guests. One of the darkly dressed figures stood out from the rest to you. With perfect poise and not a hair out of place, Baxter stood on the sidelines to supervise the process. He was well into his work. Servers ebbed and flowed between the tables as drinks were provided to each individual who requested one. That wasn't where it stopped. Soups and salads were then carted out before the main course. Cove took in a satisfied inhalation of the steam coming off the soup. You could catch a whiff of the scent yourself. It was savory and rich.
Me.
He scooped a spoonful out and dug right in. The rest of the guests followed, taking first tastes of what you had to offer them. Spirited discussions were had between bites. There were plenty of compliments. Your mom, Miranda, and Liz sounded especially pleased with how it came out. They were chatting to the others at their tables about the subtle flavors.
I was literally about to say, who the hell is Miranda? Right as I was about to say it, I literally remembered. I was like, oh yeah, it's what's her name? I forgot who she was for like a split second.
And many of your attendees made use of the extra spice that had been made available. Cliff, Kyra, Ma, Terry, Derek, and your own lovely husband each added their own levels of added heat.
Goddamn. Spice bugs.
For your meal.
I don't even know what I'm eating though. Drowned it in spice. Do we ever say what our main option was, or just that we'd have one? Because, like, if I don't know what it is specifically, I don't know if I actually would add spice to it or not. You know, I'll add a teeny weeny bit because
you added a little spice.
I'm not a huge spice person myself. Like literally, actually, authentically, I'm not a huge spice person. I'll do a little spice.
It was delicious, and exactly the way you had wanted. Mom's jovial tone carried itself above the rest of the voices. Mom, so, how much are we getting here? Mom, there's all this already and the meal hasn't even shown up. I'm gonna lose track keeping count. Kyra, oh. I asked, it's a 4-course meal, not counting dessert.
Oh yay.
Mom, I'm impressed, though not surprised with those kids. I'll have leftovers for tomorrow. When the bowls were polished clean, the servers began to reappear, clearing the dishes away to make room for more. The main course was ready, and the guests were ready for it.
I'll bet.
You and Cove had the dish placed in front of you first. Cove shifted back and forth, even letting out an excited squeak.
It's so cute how he gets excited for food. But like honestly, it be like that sometimes. I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend like when I go out to eat, I'm not fucking excited to stuff my face. Because I definitely fucking am. 100 the fuck percent. 110% actually. Especially if it's one of my favorite places, like when I go to Nagoya. I go there to eat. When I go to Texas Roadhouse, I go to eat. When I go to my favorite diner, I go to eat. Like, spin. Soup. Oh, I love this guy.
When the rest of the plates were brought out, you could pick out oohs and ahs about how amazing it looked and the generous portion size.
Well, yeah, it's a wedding, bruh.
You even heard mention of the swirls on the dishes by some discerning guests. Very few words were spoken as the dinner truly began. Everyone became fully immersed in their food. It was quite the hit. Guests were given time to enjoy their meals while they were fresh before the reception events continued as you had planned. Baxter strolled up to a side counter set on the opposite end of the head table. You had a perfect view of it.
Wait. What'd he do? Is that my cake? Hold on.
You waved at them, Mom, kiddos. It's great to finally get to talk to you. Baxter strolled up to a side counter set on the opposite end of the head table. You had a perfect view of it. Casually, he took up the microphone that he'd used throughout the rest of the event to make another announcement.
What? What do you want now? I'm trying to eat my dimber. What do you want?
Baxter, good evening. From the staff and I'd like to thank you all for being such lovely guests to serve. We hope you've enjoyed your dinner.
Now,
Baxter, now, this mic will be left open for a time to allow anyone who wishes to make a speech about the couple.
Oh. While we're eating, though? Oh boy, if anybody starts mouthing off. Oh my goodness. If anybody starts mouthing off about embarrassing baby stories, we're gonna go from being lovely guests to serve to just something else, because people are gonna start choking and coughing. This is gonna be bad.
Baxter, you are all welcome to come share memories, words of congratulations, and / or your appreciation for Sage and Cove Joe Holden, if you feel comfortable doing so. He didn't hog the mic any longer than necessary, placing it back down on the center of the stand as soon as his brief message had been made clear. Baxter directed a soft smile down to you and Cove as he left the space open for others to speak.
Yeah, go on, scooch. Get it.
A nervous rhythm began to play out next to you as Cove's fingers were drummed against the edge of the table. You watched a furrow grow deeper into his brows. He was preparing himself for whatever was about to be said. There would likely be some friendly teasing, and almost certainly he was going to get emotional again. Once the mic was available, the first person to stand was your ma. She hopped right up and made her claim to the front table.
My mom went first? first. Okay.
Softly, she spoke across the space directly to you and Cove, her words being carried through the air to where you sat. Ma, congratulations once more, my wonderful children. This wedding feels like a dream, as much as my own did when I was around your age. Her head tilted to the side, towards the other guests, and began a formal speech.
Okay, Ma, go off.
Ma,
Well?
our sage has been a joy to our family's lives, and everyone else who's met her, since the day we were brought together. Ma, but watching how she's grown with Cove has been special. Ma, the way Sage treasured the little stuffed dolphin keychain Cove had bought for her, even using it as her cell phone charm as soon as she got one. Her eyelids rested closed as she let out a sentimental sigh. Ma, and I could keep going. There's so many memories. Ma, Sage can clear the tears from his eyes better than anyone else, when she wasn't the one causing them. Ma, happy tears, of course. It was beautiful, and it still is. Her tender gaze shifted to the two of you once more, signaling the end her talk had arrived.
I
Ma,
love you.
I can only hope you'll be able to continue growing together for many more years to come. I love both of you very much.
Oh, Ma.
Your husband's eyes had already began misting.
He's such a crybaby. But he's my crybaby.
After knowing her for all this time, Cove developed a deep affection for Ma. Hearing that she cherished those important memories the same way you and he did had an impact. She slipped the mic in its proper place, brushed at her bangs, and walked to her seat again on light steps. Your mom brushed down her dress as she stood on her feet and began to walk. This was her chance to take the stage, and she was going for it.
And here I thought Cliff was gonna be the first person to run up to the mic. My moms don't play about me. He said, let me go on here and get on here.
When she put one hand on the mic, the tip of her finger tapped the top of it, doing a sound test. The puff of sound echoed out and your mom was satisfied with that.
I literally knew she would do the whole mic test thing. Of course it's working. Someone was just using it. But you know, just for comedic purposes, I'ma just tap it anyway. She's so goofy.
She lifted her head high, facing the crowd and smiling merrily.
Thank you.
Mom, thanks everyone for coming today, and for all the gifts you brought. I don't know how we're gonna pack all that up to get it to their place. But we'll make it work. Mom, where there's a will there's a way. She had to lower the mic a bit, already snickering under her breath. Mom, well, Sage, Cove, our families went through a ride with you two being brought together. Talk about a force of nature. Mom, you were attached to the hip as soon as you met, and have been ever since. Mom, and Cliff almost had a heart attack when we all took that RV out and Cove had disappeared from his sleeping bag in the morning, and it turned out he snuck into the loft with Sage.
Yeah, you had to bring that up. Not in front of everybody. That was supposed to be a small inside thing. Like, that's supposed to be a small inside family joke. You really just aired us out like that? Mom, come on. Damn, I didn't think she was going to grill us like this. I should have known.
Grinning ear to ear, lost in those old memories, she shook her head. Mom, but, at the end of it all, I think you were both good influences on each other. Mom, or at the least you've made one another very happy. That's good enough in my mind. Mom, and, you know, we really did need a son in there to round things out. Mom snorted in laughter at her own line. She waved that away with her free hand, wanting to be more serious. When she could muster the even tone she had been aiming for, your mom finished her speech.
Love
Mom, I love you, kiddos. And it's true that you're hard-working adults now, but don't ever forget that your ma and I are here if you need something.
Thanks, Mom.
Mom, your family will always be there. She had been able to coax out some chuckles from Cove throughout. He was mostly amused over her penchant for jokes than the actual jokes themselves. But the laughter had been shaky with emotion. He really had come to love your mom. With a quite pleased grin, Mom left the mic behind to return to her spot right by her wife. Smooth as silk, Liz rose from her seat and glided across the floor to the speaker's stand.
Oh, Lord. Now I'm feeling stressed. Because Liz was a bitch to me growing up in game. And she still likes to tease for the most part. And I still feel like she's got a little bit of that, like, edge to her. Which is, like, fine. Because, like, she's an older sister. But, like, still. What could you possibly want to say in your speech at my wedding? Kind of curious. Go on, then.
But Liz took her time before saying anything, evening out her bangs, clearing her throat, fiddling with the angle of the mic when she did take hold of it. She didn't have a care in the world.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're not the only person that wants to make a speech and you're sitting here taking your time. Hurry the hell up.
That couldn't be said for everyone. Cove tensed in apprehension of whatever she was going to say. He had to know what she was planning. Luckily for him, she did eventually begin her speech and end his suspense.
Jeez.
Liz, as I'm sure many of you know, I'm Sage's older sister. So, one of the very few people who have been around her for longer than her husband. She was smirking already, 2 sentences in.
Here she go.
Liz, we're pretty close, is the thing.
Are we? Maybe as we got older, but when we were younger, hell.
She flicked the hand without the mic into a non-committal half shrug. Liz, but honestly, Sage, if I realized you'd be marrying that new kid back when I was 10, I might have had to disown you.
Uh-huh.
Liz, a scrawny, grumpy boy who didn't even know how to play pretend, right? Certainly not even if I did joke about it happening. Cove, hey.
Shut up, Liz. Oh my god.
Cove gasped indignantly that she would say such things, but things being said continued on regardless of his objection. Liz, and yet here we are, at your wedding to that very crybaby.
Leave my crybaby alone. Leave him be.
Unreal.
Cove, unbelievable. Exasperated at Liz's angle for her congratulations speech, Cove slunk lower in his seat, took his drink in both hands and sipped at the juice like a furious elementary school kid. Her head slowly shook, the ends of eyebrows bent, and a less crooked smile came to her face. The tone wasn't silly anymore. Liz, but with all that out of the way, what I actually want to say now is, you made the right choice. He's the one for you.
Oh yeah?
Liz, day after day, week after week, year after year, Cove was there. Even more than I was, a lot of the time.
True. Because you were just, I need to go hang out with my friends. I need to go live my life. My sister's so annoying. Like...
Liz, don't get your hopes about this, meaning I'm done teasing you about it, but for today I want to thank you, Cove. Liz, those big, watery eyes of yours have never lost sight of Sage since she caught them.
Oh, that was actually kind of sweet.
Liz,
Thank you.
it brings peace to my heart to know that there's another person out there who cares for her as deeply as she deserves to be. Cove, oh. He didn't have another comment then. Liz's grin widened, as if she knew exactly the reactions she'd been getting. Liz, congratulations to my good old baby sister and my new baby brother. Love you. With that, she tilted the mic towards the two of you as though she was toasting a glass. At the last moment, Liz had made Cove smile, and his wide eyes were as damp as she had described. Liz daintily left the microphone where it belonged and returned to her chair, fully satisfied.
Who's next, actually? Because, like, obviously my whole family's probably going to say something, but, like, is everybody giving a speech? Like, every actual individual person we know? Like, in-game? Are they going to give a speech, or...?
There was a clattering of silverware and dishes as Lee sprung out from her table. She skipped away, not paying any mind to that. She was too impatient for the chance to talk. Somehow, it reminded you of all those times you'd chatted over the phone. The fun and excitement of sharing what was going, even when you weren't right next to each other.
Literally.
She took the mic right into her hand, projecting plenty of stage presence standing in front of an audience.
I really like her dress too. Her and Kyra's dresses I think are my favorite.
Lee, my cousin, Sage, and I are the same age and got to grow up together. Cause of that, I've gotten the joy of watching the story of her and her next door neighbor, Cove. Lee, they were totally just friends first of all, and then when romance finally happened, I was invested in the twist and turns of the tale.
She definitely was. Low-key a gossip growing up. But, like, she's cool peoples, though.
Lee, this couldn't have ended better. I'm your biggest fan.
Like, that's pretty much the reason why I made her my maid of honor over my sister. Because her and Cove hated each other growing up. Like, they hated each other. And, like, we're all cool now. Like, everything's copacetic currently. But there's no way, even if she was my sister, I wasn't making my sister my maid of honor, knowing that there was bad blood between her and my partner. The only correct choice, if it hadn't have been Derek, who's pretty much a neutral party, and he's just as much my friend as he is Cove's. Like, Derek's known us longer than Terry and Miranda. So, even if only, like, by a year or two or whatever, he's still known the two of us longer. And aside from him, Lee's technically known Cove longer than Derek has. Through me talking about him and shit. And then, you know, like, she's met him, hung out with him, blah, blah. But, just like she said, she's pretty much been on the outside of our budding relationship the entire time. And she's been nothing but positive about it. She's always shown her support. And she's always been super cool peeps. And aside from that, I had a cousin that I grew up with that was pretty much like Lee to me in real life. And if I still had contact with that cousin and I was getting married, they would probably maybe be in the running for maid of honor. But if and when I do actually get married, my maid of honor is gonna be my bestie Ellie. Because honestly, I can't think of anyone else I'd want that spot to be. So, yeah. And I think man of honor sounds goofy. So, yeah.
Lee, Biyut, as happy as I really am about your adventures in love and marriage, the best part for me has been my own relationship with the two of you. Leandra took a moment to slow down and express her thoughts with complete honesty. Lee, Sage, you're among my closest family and very best friends. And Cove, you're not just my cousin's husband, you're my friend too, and my family just the same. Lee, congrats on your stunning future together. I love both of you. Cove, ah.
You're just a tiny little aw.
Cove had to bite his lip to keep it from wobbling. The earnestness truly touched him. Her high-energy attitude quickly returned, though. Lee dropped the mic down and blew a couple kisses your way, before she swished back to her seat.
She's so extra. I love her.
Derek came out from the seating area to give his own talk. He had a relaxed stance when he grabbed the mic and waved over at the head table.
It's the boy.
Congrats.
Derek, hey. Congratulations again to you, Sage and Cove.
Alright, so this is no, actually, because neither of Cove's parents have gotten up to say anything yet. I was just about to say, I'm guessing that the speeches are going to go in order of who's known us the longest, which would be, you know, my parents knowing Cove and I the longest because I'm their child, followed by my sister, and then Lee because, you know, she's actual family, and then Derek, and I would presume Cove's parents, and then Terry and Miranda. But it could be my family, both of our friends, and then his parents last. But I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm curious. I gotta see what sappy shit this man gonna say.
Derek, you found your other halves, and anyone can see it. You're good for each other, you're good to each other.
Also, Derek, I know we made that promise back in the day, but please don't mention it. Please, whatever you do, today is not the day to mention that we may or may not have made a pinky promise that if we were single as adults, that we would get married, you and I. Don't mention that. Today is not the day. Even if it was like some goofy, childish, kiki, haha type shit, it was a pinky promise. It was a pinky promise. I pinky promised that shit to you, knowing in my heart of hearts that shit was not gonna happen. My heart was already set on Cove, and I was like, maybe something will change. Definitely the fuck not. Nothing changed. I was like, Derek, you kind of cute, but I'm taking my dynamic with Cove slow. That's where my mind was at when we made that pinky promise. I was full throttle into getting close and weaseling my way into this man's heart. Not Derek's heart, Cove's heart. But that's besides the point. I technically didn't lie. It was an agreement based on specific conditions. If he and I were single when we got to a certain age as adults, him and I would get together. Most likely start dating or whatever, and then eventually get married. But said conditions were not met because I was not single. As far as I can remember, there hasn't been any sort of mention of Derek being in a relationship with anyone and or being interested in dating anyone. So as far as I know, he's still single. Craft singles, okay? But like I already mentioned, Derek, whatever you do, please don't embarrass me, because it's not funny. It's gonna look bad if you mention it at our wedding. Don't mention the promise, bro. Whatever you do, please don't mention it. Don't mention the promise. Please. No! Imagine. Oh my lord. Oh my god. Just imagine that he like plays up, like he just plays it right the hell up. Yeah, I mean, if Cove wouldn't have gotten serious, I would have just had to take her from her. He's not that kind of guy, but still, fucking imagine. Oh my god.
Derek, whether you got married or not, no one would have questioned that commitment, though it's been a hell of an event, too.
I got worried for a second.
Derek beamed with a boyish charm, looking just like he did the first time you'd met him. Derek, thanks for being my friend. It's been a pleasure to know you too. Derek's heartful appreciation had to awkwardly be interrupted with one quick addendum.
Derek, don't do it.
Derek, oh but, I'm not going anywhere. I'm getting that time management thing under control.
Okay. Phew. Okay.
He took the chuckles from the crowd in good stride and wrapped things up for real. Derek, thank you for letting me talk.
Wait, that's it?
Carefully, Derek hooked the microphone back into its stand. When he let go, he hovered his hands nearby for a second to catch it if it fell.
Also, you know who his voice low-key reminds me of now, actually? Like his last verbal line that you could hear. For whatever reason, that reminded me of Knuckles. Like Sonic Boom Knuckles specifically. Because Knuckles from Sonic Heroes and then Knuckles from Sonic Boom, two totally different people. That voice, totally different. Derek sounds like Sonic Boom Knuckles. I don't know why. I have no idea what that voice actor's name is, but he low-key kind of sound like him though. Just a little bit. But I digress.
When he was sure all was well, he nodded confidently and lightly jogged to his seat.
Who's next?
Cove watched the entire exit with a smile growing larger and larger on his face.
I'm so glad he didn't mention that promise. I was freaking out internally a little bit. I was like, bro, please don't. Keep that under lock. Carry that to the grave. Please. If there's anything you take with you when you go, take that. Please.
A beat passed and then Miranda stood.
Oh. Okay.
She gripped at the front of her flowing dress, pulling it from the ground, as she walked over to the mic. Her shoulders were shyly hunched up and her head was low. If she wasn't surrounded by tables full of people watching, you might have thought she was sneaking out of bed while trying not to get caught by her parents. When Miranda finished tiptoeing to the front, she gathered up the microphone in both of her hands. Her eyes closed rather than directly facing the crowd.
Go on, Miranda.
She may not have been comfortable with public speaking, but her desire to participate outweighed that. Miranda, hi.
Hi, Miranda.
Cove's focus was set ahead, but you caught out of the peripherals of your own gaze that your husband mouthed a hi back to her instinctively. Miranda, thank you, Sage and Cove, for inviting me. It's been a wonderful day, and I'm so happy for you too. The stiffness of her presentation smoothed out the more she got to talking. Miranda, you're both amazing. Miranda, and I really appreciate the support you've given me, being there when I needed someone to talk to. You've had such a positive impact on my life.
I'll say, I still feel like that whole weird, not even actual argument that you had with your current partner was just so pointless, and we did not need to be involved. But you're welcome.
Miranda, I'm just really lucky to be your friend, and I hope we'll always be friends. Congratulations, Sage and Cove. Cove nodded firmly in silent agreement with her wish, while scrubbing at his eyes. Miranda put down the mic with some oomph, then twirled around to return to her seat. Her steps were much lighter than before. Terry was waiting there with open arms to her give a squeeze, clearly proud of his girlfriend for doing so good. Her smile stayed bright even from a distance. Terry jumped onto his feet with a grin, strolling right over to the counter. He scooped up the mic in one hand and gestured ahead of him with the other. Terry, I met Cove and Sage in high school. I didn't know them the longest out of everybody, but I could tell they were some cool people right away. Terry, them and Randy were my best group of buddies back then, and we've kept that friendship train going despite all the stuff that's happened.
I think you consider us closer than we actually are. Terry with a Y, not an I. But yeah, you're right.
He tapped a finger against the tabletop in time with every specific he mentioned. Terry, graduating school, moving to different places, me and Miranda dating, the two of them getting married, and things about us not being what other people thought they were.
Yeah.
Terry, also, we lived through that one summer when it wasn't just the four of us, sometimes it was the five of us. Right, my pal, Baxter?
Brother, why are you mentioning this man? Yes, he lived in the area for like literally just one summer. But bruh, you didn't need to bring him up. Why are you giving him extra? He don't need extra runtime, Terry. What the hell? Also, for those that missed it, because I don't even think that I was streaming when that happened. Terry's a weirdo. Terry only heard me and Cove talk about Baxter in passing. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I was streaming because I remember ranting about how stupid that situation was. And just how ridiculous and off the wall and freaking random Terry was acting. And then had the balls to try to act upset. But anyways, Terry at that particular time, we were younger. I think we were like 18-ish, 19-ish, something like that, a couple years back, right? Terry had only heard me and Cove talk about Baxter. Oh, he moved into a house that's a couple blocks down from us. You know, he introduced himself, seemed a little odd, we didn't really talk to him that much, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, we ran into Baxter a few times after he initially moved in. And in terms of friendship, it never really happened. It kind of just fell flat on its face. But he just kept trying. And, like, it was like he doused himself in, like, really, really heavy cologne. He was just a little overbearing, a little too extra, you know? And so, you know, we kind of kept our distance from him. Like, we were cordial when we would see him, but we wouldn't, like, linger or, like, go out of our way to, you know, start conversations or anything like that, because we weren't all that interested. And me, Cove, Miranda, and Terry were out hanging, just the four of us. The four of us were out doing, you know, homie shit, right? And we took a walk to where the sign for Sunset Bird is, like the welcome sign or whatever. And, you know, we just chatting it up, chilling, having a good old time. And Baxter just so happens to be returning to Sunset Bird from whatever the hell he was doing outside of Sunset Bird to have passed the welcome sign to come back into it, right? And of course, this curious ass dude is like, oh, hey, I know those people. Why don't I slow on down and roll down my window and say hello? And then, of course, Terry and Miranda don't know who the hell this is. They just see some random dude stopping from wherever they were driving and, you know, waving and trying to get their attention and say, like, hello or whatever. Terry goes right over to this man's car, strikes up a conversation with him, waves Miranda over. Miranda goes over there, starts having a conversation with dude. And Cove's just like, I don't really feel like talking to dude. And I was like, you know what? That's totally fine. I don't really care to talk to him either. So me and you can just sit here. Yeah, it'll be awkward or whatever. But like, we didn't really care. We didn't really want to go out of our way to like, you know, talk to Baxter. Like when he initially stopped, we both waved at him to acknowledge him like, hey, yeah, we recognize you. Hi, hello, neighbor. How are you? Whatever. And then Terry's like, hey, guys, he's giving us a ride back to Cove's car, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what do you mean he's giving us a ride back to Cove's car? Yeah, you know, he's totally good for it. He said it'd be fine. You don't know this man. You just met this man for the first time. Yes, you've heard his name. You've heard small little stories or whatever. But you gonna trust a dude 100% after you just met him to take you somewhere with a bathroom. Like, Confucius. But anyways, we all we reluctantly decide to, you know, fuck it. Let's just ride in his car. We'll get back to Cove's car and then, you know, he'll leave and then, you know, we can just go back to chilling, the four of us. No. Cove's like, you know what? I think I'm good hanging out, actually. I think I'm going to head back. And I was like, ooh, you know what? Yeah, it is getting kind of late. We should head back, actually. I'm on Cove's side. I'm like, yeah, Baxter's here. It's a teeny weeny bit awkward. Let's just ski on daddle, okay? And Terry's like, oh, I'm not ready to, you know, head back yet. And blah, blah, blah. There's so much more we could do. Why don't we do this and this and this? And we're just like, nah. And Miranda's like, well, I'd like to do those things, blah, 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 blah. And then they both start talking it over. And they pretty much wrote Baxter into whatever they're doing. And then they're like, hey, are you sure you guys want to leave? Blah, 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 blah. It'll be so much fun, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, my boyfriend's leaving, so I'm leaving. I'm not staying because I don't like this man. And if you want to get in a car again with someone that you barely know, be my guest. Be my guest. Be my guest. Like, no, sleepy beepy times. Night night, Nelly. It's sleepy as beepy times. I should probably maybe get ready for sleep soon too, because I gotta get my nails done tomorrow. But I think it'll be okay. Yeah, I think it'll be alright. Also, thank yous. 999. I was like, nah, you go ahead and hang out with this weirdo if you want to. We're going home. And then, like, they kind of pouted about it or whatever. And they still decided to leave with Baxter. He's like, well, Cove drove and, you know, he has the car, so we want to go hang out and do this and this and this. And he's like, oh, all right, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, y'all are too trusting. Y'all do not know this man. Y'all just chilling up in his car like you belong there. Couldn't be me. But anyways, back to Terry's speech, apparently, because I definitely got sidetracked. But yeah, go on.
He brought the mic even closer to his grinning mouth for emphasis and dramatically pointed off to the side. Terry, now we're all here again. You probably hadn't planned for that. And he was right. Having been quietly discussing next steps with the server, Baxter's mouth hung open mid-word. Suddenly being brought into focus outside of his expertly laid schedule knocked him completely off rhythm.
Don't tell me this man flustered. What happened to that cool, slick back personality you had? Now you flustered? You blubbering? Like, what's going on?
Cove barked a gratified laugh, equally as shocked but far more amused. Baxter's head turned in the direction of the sound. His mouth finally closed into a wry smile. It seemed Terry brought the gift of teasing someone other than you or Cove, and it was more than a welcome offer as far as Cove was concerned. Especially since it was taken in good spirits. There was something remarkable about being able to include Baxter in your group's merrymaking, the same way as anyone else.
I guess.
Terry nodded knowingly, then casually transitioned into his main point. Terry, and I guarantee our friendship is gonna stay on track. Terry, no matter what, there's no one who could take your places. From me to you, and from you two to each other. Good work tying the knot, your catches. Terry left his speech and the mic there. He paused to applaud your union graciously, before flipping his hand out into a wave as he walked off. Cove gave a big friendly wave in return, his eyes were glossy. Soon as Terry hit his chair again, Miranda took his arm and happily began whispering to him about the speech. Kyra pushed herself up from her seat and went right to the front without hesitation.
Uh-oh. Mom 3's turn.
Eagerly, she lifted the mic to her lips and said, Kyra, I can't believe my babies are having a wedding right now. The unexpected declaration sent chuckles rumbling throughout the crowd.
Oh, wow. She has her own goofy charm, too. I can't believe I didn't trust you initially. I definitely had it set in my mind, my headcanon, was that she was the reason they separated because she, like, cheated or something, and, like, Cliff came home to find her with another guy. And he's like, well, no, fuck this, I'm leaving. We're getting a divorce, blah, 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 whatever. And then he, like, shot off and left with Cove. They never shed any light on why they separated. Just that they separated. And apparently they fought a lot. My headcanon is that there was cheating going on from somebody. And honestly, I still high-key think it was Kyra. I still high-key think it was her. Because Cliff, this nigga Cliff, alright? He has been a bachelor since Cove was 8 years old. They didn't specify how long they were together, him and Kyra, prior to Cove being born. But up until that point, I would presume that they were together for at least 7 out of those 8 years that he was alive, right? Because they're his parents. But they haven't mentioned Cliff being interested or showing any signs of romanticisms with anybody. Cove's entire life after him and Kyra split. But Kyra's, cozying up to some dude she works with, right? Shouldn't you just be focusing on yourself? I can't tell you how to live your life. But obviously, out of the two of you, somebody has their priorities straight. He's not worried about dating nobody. This man just want to take care of his baby boy. And he has. He a damn good daddy. But, yeah. I still low-key think Kyra might have cheated and Cliff found out about her, and that's why they separated. But I doubt they'll ever give us any kind of clarification on that. And if you're watching this later, and maybe there is a DLC I don't have that has details about his parents' past, please let me know, because I need the tea. MP waits. Back to her speech.
Kyra,
Any
any
whoosies.
whoosies. Kyra continued with a wink and a smile. Kyra, it was a treat getting to meet Sage in person for the first time. Kyra, though, I already felt like I knew her, thanks to all the stories Cove loved to recount about her. In a pouting whisper, Cove spoke out about that description of events. Cove, Mom. Kyra, whenever I got to visit Sunset Bird, or you visited me, I came to see firsthand more and more what marvelous individuals you were growing into. Kyra, you bloomed right before my eyes, like perfect white poppies on the hill where you were married. Kyra, every moment I've been able to spend with each of you has been a gift.
I'm number 3.
Kyra, I count my lucky stars that I got to be the mom to such an amazing boy. And Sage. The buoyant tone of Kyra's words faded into something softer, sweeter. Kyra, I'd like to thank you personally for helping my baby make himself a home again. I'm truly grateful for that.
You're welcome.
There was a sniffing at your side after that. Cove tugged at the tablecloth in front of him unconsciously, needing to do something.
What are you doing? Don't use the tablecloth as a tissue.
Cove, Mom. Kyra, congratulations, both of you. I love you. Cove, I love you too. It didn't matter that she couldn't hear, she knew. Kyra used the bottom of her palm to wipe her eye, placing the mic on its stand with the other hand.
Oh man, I feel like I'm gonna get goosebumps from whatever Cliff says, cause like he's pretty much with my parents in the grand scheme of things when it comes to our relationship. So like, I don't know.
She took an additional moment to look up at you and Cove gently, and then Kyra strode back to her table. Cliff leaned over towards her and gave 2 thumbs up for that speech. His zealousness made Kyra cover her mouth in amusement and embarrassment. And then, Cliff raised from out of his seat.
Oh Lord, he coming.
The most contentious figure in your husband's early life who grew to become his best man. Cliff took large strides to reach the speaker's stand.
I mean, he said he had something he needed to say and it was gonna wait for his speech, so all right.
But his fingers froze in place before they could grasp the mic. He stared down at it, collecting his thoughts, or his emotions, or both. When he was ready, his hand locked around the base of it, and as he lifted the mic up higher, a grin pulled across his face. There was a crinkle around the corner of his eyes. Cliff, hey sport, hi Sage.
Hi, Dad.
Cove, hi, Dad. Cove's reply was barely audible, he might not have realized he'd done it. Cove's irises were shaking as he looked ahead intently. Cliff, well. Cliff's expression turned distant. He was facing the crowd, but his gaze had drifted even further away to something in the past that was long gone. Cliff, I remember the first day Cove and I moved to Sunset Bird, when I met Sage. Cliff, I didn't know where my boy was then, or what I was doing, or anything at all really, as you'll soon be able to tell.
Damn, way to roast yourself, bro.
He chuckled weakly over the self-derisive comment. It didn't do much to lighten anyone's mood, including his own. He remained wistful. Cliff, I was sitting around on a curb when Sage strolled up the road, heading home. Cliff, I knew her, or I knew of her, I'd met Pamela and know Ilani already, talking to them is how Cove got away from me. Cliff shook his head, trying not to get too lost in his complicated mess of thoughts on those times. Cliff, but that's not the point, what matters is that I'd heard Sage was their 8-year-old, the same age as my Cove, and that Sage was the only one that age in the neighborhood. Cliff, in my infinite wisdom, I'd picked out a place that wasn't exactly a family-friendly community, it was mostly a bunch of retired vacationers. He gritted his teeth and placed a hand to his forehead, feeling the sting of that day as if it was fresh. Cliff, and speaking of, did I mention it was the start of summer break when we moved? What was my little boy going to do now that I'd dragged him out there? Cliff, I wanted him to have someone to play with, someone he could talk to. I wanted him to be happy. There was a heart-wrenching crack in Cliff's voice as he spoke about what his feelings had truly been.
Aww.
Cliff, I just at that moment everything was going wrong, it felt like a dead end no matter which way I went, and I was so sure that there wouldn't be anyone for Cove if it wasn't Sage. In one more valiant effort to try not to make the mood of your wedding too heavy, Cliff gave a goofy shrug. Cliff, so I offered Sage $20 to be his friend.
Oh, Lord.
Cliff, it's just funny to me.
Is it though?
The straight line of his shoulders lowered on each side like a roof sagging after years of having to stay solid. Cliff, maybe that's not the word. What I'm saying is that all my worries and regrets were at their peak, I was acting crazy, I know it now. Cliff, but, somehow, it still turned out that, there really wasn't anyone else for him, or not anyone better for him anyway. Cliff, nobody else in this world who can be there for Cove the way she can. Cliff, it's... The sentence remained unfinished, as much as he tried Cliff couldn't put the words together to express what it meant to him. Inhaling deeply through his nose, Cliff's stance pulled together tall and solid. His dark blue eyes shone with a depth to them as they met with the far brighter blue of his child's. Cliff, son, being your dad will always be the best thing I've done in my entire life. And getting that condo on that street was the luckiest card I ever drew.
Him and his cards.
Cliff, I bet you two would have found each other with or without that eventually, but because of it my kid got to grow up right next to the person who could make him happiest. Cliff, I can't ask for more than that. Cliff, and Sage, you didn't need a dad with what great moms you've got, but I'm so thankful I still get to be yours. Cliff, I love you both, and I'll keep loving you for the rest of the time I've got. Tears streaked down Cove's face freely, he didn't fight their falling. Cove, I love you too.
I don't know why, but in that moment, I feel like he would have yelled it, like, really loudly on purpose, just so that his dad could hear him. You know what? That's my headcanon. For that particular moment just now, that's exactly what he did. He yelled that shit, just so that his dad could hear him.
Watching you and your husband from where he stood, Cliff got misty-eyed himself. He reached to wipe his cheeks, completely forgetting there was a microphone in his hand.
Oh jeez, did you drop it?
Cliff set it down, shyly waved over to the two of you, and stepped away. He was then able to rub at the ever-growing tears. No one spoke or even moved as Cliff returned to his spot. When he was seated, Kyra reached over to give his back a pat. He had done good. Then the mic sat there, untouched. None of the attendees wanted to pick up after where it had been left off. That was going to be the final speech from your guests, you were certain.
Oh? Mr. Wedding Planner isn't gonna get up here and talk about his 2-second interaction over the course of a summer with us? Good. Because you shouldn't.
Cove's breath was shaky, taking in everything. A weepy smile reappeared on his face the more it sunk in just how much he was cared for. He leaned against your side, pulling at the tablecloth and burrowing his face into your shoulder.
Oh, honey.
Sage Your eyes were glossy. And you brushed Cove's hair back soothingly. Slowly, deliberately, you stroked the smooth green strands of hair without disrupting Cove's positioning against your body.
Because that's what I would do.
When a voice was amplified out across the whole space once more, it was expectedly your planner, giving his appreciation for the cooperation again and announcing the closing of the speeches. But rather than leaving the microphone on the counter, he strolled up to your table with the device in hand.
Why? What are you doing?
Baxter, before we shut this off for the night, would either of you like to give your own message to your loved ones?
Bruh.
Cove, oh. Cove lifted his teary face up to acknowledge Baxter, pausing to sniffle. Cove, I'll do it. I'd like to say something, too.
Of course.
Baxter, of course. Here you are. Cove used one hand to scrub his eyes and the other to accept the mic, drawing it in close. Cove, too close. His murmur crackled uncomfortably loud, and Cove's arm sprung out straight instinctively to get the noisemaker away from him.
Oh my goodness.
He winced, before much more cautiously lifting the mic towards his face. He cradled it in both hands and his gaze dropped to the ground.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks.
Cove, thanks everybody, really, seriously. His eyes closed completely as he paused to bite his lips. Cove, so glad to be here. And all those things you said were. There was a cracking strain to Cove's voice that wasn't caused by technical error, he was choking up. Each word had to be pushed out with dedicated effort.
My poor boy.
Cove, really nice. I love you. As rapidly stuttered as it was, what he meant to express came through to you and the rest of the people there to hear it, Cove's earnest affection. In a fumbling motion that screeched out even more unintentional feedback, Cove passed the mic to you. His now free hands moved to cover his mouth.
Oh my goodness. He is too sweet.
As you rose up from your chair, your eyes casting out over each individual in the crowd, you had to accept the bittersweet notion that this truly was a special occasion. You had no idea when everyone you cared for would be gathered together in the same place again, or when you'd even see some of them next. You wondered if Cove had been cognizant of the same thing while he was speaking. That this message had a weight to it, that it was your last big chance to share your thoughts with them. All you could think to say was, "Your speeches were beautiful. Thank you." And that brought the speeches to their last sentimental note. Your eyes remained focused ahead as you extended your hand out for Baxter to take the microphone and lowered back down in your seat. Applause erupted from table to table and Baxter grinned approvingly.
Perfect.
Baxter, perfect.
Why did that sound like a question when you said it? Perfect? Question mark? Like, was it a statement or a question, dude? What the hell?
He took the microphone back with him as he rejoined with the other staff members in order to give you and Cove some space to yourselves. When the clapping subsided, emotions remained high. Further conversations were tentative and hushed for a time. But eventually, the happy chatter that frequented your reception filled the air again. It was an evening of good food and good company. When the meal was nearing its end, the final course you had requested from the caterer was handed out, the palate cleanser. From there, the evening continued to slip by in a dreamy haze. Before you knew it, all the attendees had finished and the dishes from dinner had been swiftly cleared from the tables. In spite of this, everyone remained rooted in their seats. It was no secret that there was more to come. People were waiting eagerly for dessert, though none of them could match the vibrating anticipation of your husband. It was time for the cake.
Hell yeah.
But before the big event, you had something else up your sleeve. The servers returned to bestow the extra treats to your guests. Truly delightful trays of fancily decorated cupcakes were delivered to the tables and shared among the guests. The cupcakes matched your blue color scheme perfectly. Lee was particularly pleased to see them, clapping her hands with joy. The servers vanished from the floor with impressive efficiency, allowing the wedding cake to take center stage.
Ooh, buddy.
Sat on a center table was your fully realized creation, a two-tiered, elegant style, blue masterpiece.
Yeah.
You were pleased to see that your guests were as smitten with it as you and Cove were.
Can I see what it looks like?
Ma, it's so charming.
I wanna see it. Let me see my wedding cake, yo.
Terry gasped. Terry, are you really gonna cut it? That cake must have taken an eternity to put together. Liz nodded approvingly. Liz, oh yes, that's how you do it. Lee, it's so cool that you went with blue instead of just white. Totally unpredictable. Baxter beckoned for you and Cove to come forward. You rose from your seats as one and crossed the floor to the display table, where a waiting server offered the cutting knife to you both. The two of you took hold of the handle, hand over hand, so that you could make the incision as a team.
It's cake cutting time.
Together, you hovered the knife over the lowest layer of the cake. You glanced at Cove, who smiled wryly at you. It really was almost too beautiful to cut. But just almost, and your guests were waiting for their portions of the delicious cake. Carefully, so as to preserve the structure as much as possible for as long as you could, you pushed down with the knife. It slid through the cake easily, leaving a smooth cut all the way through. You and Cove drew the knife out, then made another cut in order to create a neat triangle of cake. The server produced a plate, ready for the first slice. With a bit of shakiness in the motions between the two of you, you slipped the knife under the piece and transferred it to the waiting plate. The first slice was done. You gazed at the neatly cut cake with pride as you set down the knife. Cove beamed. It was a lovely moment. Now you couldn't wait to share the wonderful cake with your guests. Cove let out a thrilled squeak as he picked up the provided fork. Each aspect of it had been painstakingly planned to suit the occasion as well as your tastes. Now, at last, it was finally there for the eating. You were happy for Cove, though weren't going to eat the cake yourself. You would have a taste, but you were looking forward to having a slice. And, in short order, servings of cake were set down at each table, a neat triangular slice in front of every guest. As the crowd dug in, along came discussion on the dessert. Liz, thank you, Sage, for doing the right thing and having chocolate in this cake.
Wow.
Derek was less blunt but equally appreciative of your choice, rubbing his hands together with eagerness as his slice was set down in front of him. Derek, you can never go wrong with a chocolate cake. It honestly is the best option.
Oh Lord, no it's not. Marble is definitely better. And yes, I know marble has chocolate in it, but it's not just chocolate. It's yellow cake and chocolate cake, with certain bits and pieces of it having bigger, like, portions of chocolate, which is totally fine. And some that have more yellow. But the ones that have like the perfect mix of both, perfect.
Cove stopped shoveling buttercream into his mouth long enough to give his own praises. Cove, you know, I've had a lot of chocolate Y cakes over the years, but none of them have even compared to this one. It's actually amazing. You admired the cake, committing each beautiful detail to memory before you took your first bite. You closed your eyes as you let it melt on your tongue, relishing the light and fluffy texture alongside the silky frosting. Each bite was savored until your plate was cleared. By that point, Cove was already on his second slice. By the time the meal was officially over, Cove had not only devoured 3 full-sized slices of cake, but he double-checked with Baxter about what would happen to any leftovers.
That's my husband.
Baxter had needed to reassure him that any remaining sections of the cake would be wrapped up to go home with the two of you. It was pleasant to sit back and relax for a while, giving your feet time to recuperate from a long day, but the lull did not last for long. Newly fueled by cake, the party was beginning to start again. The celebration was able to continue in earnest. Derek, Lee, Terry, and Miranda got the dance floor going. They took turns pulling silly moves and cheering each other on. Liz sung along to all the songs she knew whenever an old favorite from your life growing up together came on. Your 4 parents made their table base camp and cycled between catching up with other family in town and rejoining with one another. They spent much of the time trading sentimental stories about when their babies were just babies. Cove's one uncle showed off his classic magic tricks to celebrate the day. Your husband was far more enthusiastic about the stunts as a 23-year-old adult than he was as an 8-year-old child.
I don't even know what to say about that. No, yeah, I do. I lied. I remember when we were younger, we saw a dude doing magic tricks. On like our market strip that we have near our beach, right? And he was like, I already know about that card trick because my uncle does card tricks. So I know all about that one. It's not that impressive. Like, he was just roasting the dude, right? And then this same uncle. It's like, it's cool when my uncle does it, but not this guy. And now here he is. Oh my god.
During the entire time, more casual photos were snapped of the best and funniest moments. One was when Miranda got Terry to hold up her dress so she could do a handstand. You couldn't wait to see them fully developed. And many guests had been generous enough to bring presents that you and Cove might need. You'd finished opening each one and offering your thanks. Seafoam green towels, dishes, a water purifier, a framed picture of the sea with the words "Life's a beach" were just some of your takeaways for the day. The most common gift, however, was the safe bet of simply giving cash. You'd never seen so many $20 bills in one place. Your families had a sense of humor. Of course, the relationship that began with someone offering money would reach its head with that repeating. Your husband caught a glimpse of the silent amusement in your face. His mouth curved into a smirk as he watched you. You'd bet money that he knew exactly what was on your mind. Baxter, good evening.
What do you want now, Baxter?
This distinct voice of your planner caught your attention. He approached with a polite wave. Baxter, the people you know are as welcome as you are. They've treated the staff, including myself, well throughout the reception. Cove puffed right up in hearing Baxter compliment the people he's close to. He could easily have been mistaken for a proud parent. As pleasant as he kept the pleasantries, Baxter was certain to get to the point of the conversation quickly. Baxter, well, I'm here to say that you've got the space for a few more hours, but there are no more planned events or responsibilities on your shoulders. The day went off exactly as intended. He pressed his hands against the bottom of his spine and leaned his torso back against them to stretch. For a single, side word, Baxter let himself clock out of the work mindset. Baxter, hallelujah.
Wow. Just wow.
But the metaphorical bell rang, and he returned promptly to providing his service, standing up perfectly straight and pointing his toes forward. Baxter, you're free to simply enjoy yourselves however you want with the time that's left. Baxter, of course, I'll personally put out any fires if they do appear. You two don't need to worry about anything. Cove, cool. Thank you for all of this. You really were the perfect guy to do it.
Don't gas him up, Cove. Don't gas him up. My goodness.
Baxter's brows curved, his eyes softened, and even pausing to steady himself didn't hide the emotion rich in his voice. Baxter, that means a lot to me.
He popped one. I know he did. I know he popped one. You're getting a 5-star review from us. I wouldn't go that far. But I'll be genuine at the very least.
Thank you for all of your help. The smile already prominent on his face warmed further. Baxter ran his hand down his shirt, smoothing it out in a casual, fluid motion.
You're
Baxter,
welcome.
you're very welcome. It's been a joy working with you two, truly. The mood was light all around, until the feeling really hit Cove. He shifted in place uncomfortably, not knowing how to proceed from the point that was reached. Cove, so, does this mean we're friends?
Oh, goodness. Do you want to be his friend? Is the real question. I still don't know, to be honest. I'm cool with or without this man being in my life. If he is, cool. If he's not, also cool. Like I'm really cool either way.
Baxter, oh. He blinked rapidly as his mouth closed into a tight line before saying a full thought. Baxter always needed a second to recover on the rare occasion that something knocked him off his game. Baxter, well, that's your call, I'd say.
I know there's nothing you would want more in this world than to be either of our friends. So like, you might as well just say yeah.
Despite the prompting to talk, Cove couldn't put together an answer.
And when I say weird,
it's so funny how you both
mean the
still
two
can
of
barely
you.
talk to each other. We're friends. Two pairs of eyes from two very different men set on you, though eventually moving to look at one another. Smiles returned to both their features. As Baxter would say, it was settled. To solidify the friendship, Baxter offered you his hand to shake once more.
what is with you in physical contact, bro? God dang.
You gladly reciprocated. Your hands gripped together affectionately, lifting up and down once. Next, his hand went towards Cove. He held it out it evenly with confidence, not from a want to be self-assured, but he was actually certain that they had a closer relationship now. Cove looked down at it, considering. But he ultimately raised his arms and shoulders, in a motion that was both an awkward shrug and an invitation to hug instead. The lopsided grin he gave was contagious, and Baxter took hold of Cove while positively beaming. Baxter was only tall enough to bring his chin to Cove's shoulder, but he rested it there comfortably. Cove chuckled in bemusement. It took a long time, but he had been won over to Baxter's side.
I'll fucking say.
He gave his new friend a pat on the back before they ended the embrace amicably.
You're a real charmer, huh? But even still, like I said before, keep your mitts off my husband, or we gonna have some problems. You and me, okay? Cool.
Baxter, I hope you enjoy your post-wedding bliss as long as you can, but when life settles back down to normal, we should have dinner. I know some good places.
I guess.
That'd be nice. I guess we'll call you Sage, yeah. And in that case, it'll be your treat. See you then.
Ha ha.
Perfect.
Baxter, perfect.
Never mind, I take it back.
Baxter, and congratulations on your lovely day. He then quite literally bowed out, tipping one foot back and inkling forward. He kept his head lifted up with that curled grin you'd become so used to featured prominently on his face.
I still don't like it.
Baxter left the two of you there, disappearing into the crowd of figures all in black, to help keep the event running as smoothly as possible. You thought back to the very start of that special day, when Baxter promised he'd congratulate you when it was over. That gave his parting words an extra sense of finality. But it wouldn't be a real goodbye. This time Baxter would be a part of your lives for as long as he was welcome in it. You believed him in that. With the staff busy and the guests mingling with each other, you and Cove had a moment completely to yourselves since the wedding first began that morning. You knew for certain that you could relax when you caught Cove pulling into a big stretch. His torso twisted to one side as his hands rose up as high as he could get them. He was able to get satisfying reach in his arms thanks to his buttoned shirt not being completely fitted. His eyes had been closed when he worked out the last of the jitters he'd carried throughout the day, but his gaze landed on you as soon as he finished. There was a radiant warmth in his expression as he spoke to you with an eased heart.
Yes, honey.
Cove, is there anything you want to do before it's over? I'm happy with whatever you're thinking. I've been hoping you'd ask me to dance, you know. He smiled openly and welcomely. It was more inviting than even direct words would have been. As he had in the past, and as you were certain he'd do in the future, Cove lifted his hand for you to take. You accepted then as you always would. You and your husband slipped away from the main seating area out to the center of the space. By that late hour, the dance floor had mostly emptied. Your fingers remained linked as you both took hold of the other with your second hands, taking form for a dance. Cove brought his chest near enough to brush against yours and rested his cheek on the edge of your forehead. He was careful not to mess up your hair. Slow, calming music drifted through the air. It enveloped you and kept out the buzz of distant conversations still happening. You began to sway to the sound, cozy and content. It felt as though you and he were in your own world.
So...
Cove, well, Mrs. Comet Joe Holden, congratulations on your successful wedding. Cove, again. He slipped the last word in with a playful laugh. Yes, congratulations to you too, Mr. Comet Joe Holden.
Thanks.
Cove, thanks. Cove, and if you're wondering, my plan is to be the last person who gets to congratulate you tonight. He waggled his wiggly eyebrows, being intentionally silly.
And he's been extremely, in his own head. Most, if not all of the day. And now he's just back to being his silly old goofball self. Literally, what did I just say?
You're such a goofball, you said affectionately. He sighed softly, and his shoulders lowered comfortably. But Cove suddenly perked back to attention when something struck him. Cove, though, I could just say it again when we get to the hotel room. I'd definitely be the last person to do it then. Cove, that's one of the perks of being married. I pretty much always get to be the first and the final with you, you for me too. I'm good with that. There's no one else I'd want to be my first and last for everything. Cove, thank you. In his glistening eyes you could see how treasured you really were. Cove whispered heartfelt words.
See you
Cove,
tomorrow.
Oh, and I also get to say this for sure, see you tomorrow, Sage. Sage, I'll see you tomorrow, too. Cove pressed himself into you even more snugly, and letting out a tiny, thrilled squeak.
This is so cute.
Now that we have a minute, I wanted to mention how you looked.
Yeah, I didn't get to comment on that at all.
His stance tensed, blushing in his finery. The spotlight had turned back on, and Cove was getting stage fright.
You thought I forgot.
Cove, do you like it? I love it. He'd be drop dead gorgeous in every photo that had been taken.
I'm
Cove,
so glad.
That's great. I'm really glad you think so. You could tell from his blush that he had ultimately enjoyed your attention. His posture relaxed and he seemed more confident in the clothes again. Cove, I like yours too. Cove, that dress looks like it'd be in a magazine or on a billboard or something. Sage, thank you. Cove seemed like he had something on his mind. So, he chewed on the inside of his cheek as the silence grew longer. You remained patient, communicating your willingness to listening through your eager eyes. Cove, Sage, there's something I want to say.
I'm listening.
The sentence faded out as his lips clammed up in a trembling line. He had to force it back open.
I need to chill out because I know it's not gonna be what I'm hoping it's gonna be. Because this isn't that kind of game.
Cove, I wanted to say it without crying, but your vows were so nice to hear and I loved them and thank you for doing that.
See, not at all where my mind was at. What I was thinking about ain't had nothing to do with no vows.
Simply remembering the scene had gotten the tears flowing again, he couldn't help it. You're so precious.
I want to combine this one and the first one, honestly.
I can say it again, if you want me to. He sniffled once, then twice, and then he grinned back at you. Cove. Is there anything you're hoping for in our lives after this? Cove. We've got our place, our pets, each other. That makes me really happy. But, is there something you want to talk about? I want to listen.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm thinking we could use some company, and I don't mean more fish. I want a family with you. Well, I was wondering if we could talk about starting a family. Well, I was wondering if we could talk about starting a family. You felt a pounding in your ears and your breathing became more rapid. I want to give birth. For a second, he completely stalled. You winced as him potentially fainting became a real possibility once more.
Yup.
Instead of falling, he spoke. Cove, okay.
Just okay? Question mark? Just okay? Or are you sure?
The word was so quiet, and you needed to hear him so much, you instinctually pulled closer to him. You regretted that choice immediately after because he reaffirmed himself in a shout.
Right?
Cove, we can have a baby. Not right now, I mean. Unless you want to do it right now.
Oh my goodness.
Cove was panicking, bouncing up and down on his feet enough to shake both of your bodies.
Goodness. This poor man.
You knew his heart was in the right place, though. It filled you with joy. Sage, let's at least wait until the wedding is over. He panted out uneven breaths but calmed enough to still himself. Cove,
Yeah.
good idea. Thanks, Sage. Sage, thank you too. So, did you notice that I'm wearing an anklet? He let out a genuine gasp. Cove, no.
Seriously?
Are you serious? I had no idea you were wearing one. With the initial shock wearing off, Cove shamelessly craned his neck to try getting a peek at it. You could only laugh at the reaction.
Please give me the option to show him. Please, because I definitely put one on. Come on, bro. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Sage, honestly, I thought you'd have checked for that.
Well...
Well. Cove dropped his face completely, suddenly feeling bashful.
Come on.
Cove, you do look really great in that outfit, but, mostly, I've just wanted to see your face. I haven't been able to focus on much else. Sorry. Sage, that's so sweet. You were swooning. Cove still had a knack for the unexpected compliment.
You got me over here blushing.
You buried your face in his shoulder. You gave every part of his face a kiss. The first kiss or two were accepted with sweet giggles from Cove. The more you peppered against his skin, the shakier his chuckles became. Before you felt finished, he brought a hand to your shoulder to nudge you down. You squinted your eyes back open, disappointed.
What? Why?
Cove's brows crinkled apologetically.
I better be getting some back then. I need my change.
He let his face come nearer to yours once more. It wasn't touching, but he could whisper words only for you.
Yes.
It's
Cove,
okay.
sorry. We've gotta wait for that. But, I promise, later soon.
Oh.
A bolt of anticipation shivered through your body. Cove could forever make your future something to look forward to.
Oh. I gotcha. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
But then you heard your husband sigh wistfully. Cove, it all went by so fast. Cove, and, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't only mean the wedding, it's everything. Where did the years go? When did you and me become grown up?
What?
I have no idea. Cove, yeah. Cove, though. His spirits carefully rose again as he spoke more lightly. Cove, I feel pretty good about getting older, not being a kid anymore, 'cause I'm doing it with you. Cove, before we could only pretend to play adult, and I was bad at it. Cove, Liz was right on that one, unfortunately. Cove, and now we're at our wedding. I know what it's like to be an adult, kind of. You just do it and keep going. I guess it's as simple as that.
Yeah, you right.
Cove, I wish I could have figured that out from the beginning. No, actually, I'm glad everything went the way it did. Sage, I am too. The song that blanketed your discussion was at its final chorus as guests were saying their goodbyes to one another. It was almost time to go. Too soon you would know what the ending note of your wedding was, the final glance, the last word. Those thoughts swirled in your mind until Cove brought you back to existing in the present where you belonged.
It's nice.
Cove, I think our life is really nice. Not letting either of you get lost in contemplation again, Cove suddenly clapped both his hands against your shoulders with the utmost seriousness. Cove, you know, if you ever want to have another party like this, I'll do it. It can be every year, multiple times a year, whenever you feel like it. Cove, we'll keep Baxter in business forever. I love you, Cove, so much. If it's with you, I'm up for anything. I hope you understand how much you mean to me.
Honestly.
Save slot. Save. Oh. Save. Oh. Save. Sage. I. Cove. I do.
Oh yeah? Cool. Good.
Tiny, delicate water drops pooled in the corner of his eyes. Cove let his hands travel from shoulders up to touch your face. He cradled you tenderly, never wanting to let go. Cove, what did I do to get to be with someone who's there for me, someone who honestly cares about me? Cove, well, I don't need an answer, really. I'm just grateful.
I love
Cove,
you.
I love you too, Sage. Always. Our life, 1.7.1.
There's no illustration for that though. Sad face.
Our life.
Dang.
Step 2. Self-voicing disabled.
Well, I suppose that's it. Man. Chrissy. You just missed the ending. Like the actual ending. Dang. This is the second part of the ending, kinda sorta. Because I didn't get to completely finish yesterday. You did! Unfortunately. You just missed the cute ending just now. You did. But hold on. I can do you one better since technically I did finish. It's okay. Pretty sure they'll all probably end with like the same, what's it called? I don't think any will be particularly longer than any of the others. But I'll just go through the options I wanted. Cove is such an amazing husband, and it hasn't even been a full 24 hours that we've been married yet. Such a sweetie. You missed the speeches. You missed the cake cutting. You missed the dancing. You missed all of it.
I love you.
He is so beautiful. Like, I don't know. I'm so glad he gets to be my husband, honestly. It legit hasn't even been 24 hours. This is us at our venue after we technically got married, where we're having like our dinner and everything. And I don't know. I'm just I'm sad that it's over, but at the same time I'm happy because now I don't have to worry about being spoiled about anything in relation to the DLC because I've completed the DLC now. Like, I might, but like I'm picky. I'm kind of picky when it comes to like my dating sims, to be honest. Like I'm pretty picky. So like if I did decide to do another one, cuz technically I didn't even like record this one from the beginning to end. Like it was mostly just the wedding DLC I recorded. Because I technically played through like the actual like regular story on my own. I'd really have to figure out which one I'd want to do for the channel. But I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and Tronzo Sean to my end screen. Yeah, I mean, I heard about Monster Prom. The developers, they have a lot of stuff. But like, it does seem very fun, and it looks like it would be absolutely hilarious. But like, for me, when it comes to dating sims, like, two of my biggest things is either I have to be able to represent myself in some sort of way in the game, and or if I can't have that being like my main thing, that the story actually has to be interesting enough for me to just not give a shit that I can't be myself within the confines of the game. Like, in our life, I can actually, like, customize things about my character. Sure, to a certain extent, it's only made obvious that I'm black maybe like 4 or 5 times in like small intervals, like Cove holding my hands to have a firefly crawl from his hands onto my hands, or him putting a bracelet on me, or us holding hands in general, or in the case of the wedding, him putting my ring on my finger. You see a hand that is black. You don't just not see a hand at all. I get to have a preference for earrings. I get to change my hairstyle. Like, I get to say what type of jewelry I like and things like that. Even if it's not something that I get to see in the game, it's still choices that I get to make that affect the story. You know what I mean? And to me, as the player, that's important. So, and some dating sims are just like, oh, well, you should just be in it for, you know, the, what's it called? The plot, which I definitely am. I'm all for the plot, but I also want to be black. I also want to be black. Like, legit. It shouldn't be hard. Because dating sims are simulators. You know? So, I should most definitely be able to be black. If I so choose to. But tomorrow is a regular stream day. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna play. Maybe I'll play some Disgaea. Maybe I'll play some My Sims. Maybe I'll play something else. Maybe I'll play some Splatoon. I don't know. Man, I didn't want that roller coaster of emotions to be over. But dang, that was so good. It was so good. It was so good. Oh my gosh. And like, legit, some of those speeches got me feeling some type of way. Like, the speeches were actually really, really cute. You'll definitely have to watch the rest of the scream in its entirety once the actual recording is over. You gonna wanna see this, Chrissy. I'm telling you. It's so cute. Oh my gosh. But for now, it's getting a little late for me, and I gotta get up early to get my nails done tomorrow. So I'm gonna go ahead and go. If you haven't already, feel free to hit the description of this video so you can join us in the Discord, where you can participate in polls, hang out with peeps, and have a good old time. Definitely. Definitely. And or get just a tiny bit of secondhand embarrassment. If at all. Also, definitely feel free to share this adorable screen with someone who just wants to see some peeps be happy on their wedding day. Because, you know, why not? 99 kissing. And last thing, yeah. And also, on your way out, don't forget to leave your likes at the Dell. And I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow at 7 p.m. EST. Right? Right. Thanks for coming to my wedding. Also, I'll only answer to Call Me Joe Holden now. From now on, because that is my official title now. So if you mention it in a stream after this, I'll know that you were here for this experience. And if not, what are you doing? Why didn't you watch this before? But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go. And I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow when I see y'all. Okay.